being such an experienced player, and I've had difficulties with her playing before, so I'm happy that, I'm taking my lessons.
Change the pace off your own racket. Get a drop shot to fall in. Looking for another break of serve to close this out.
An explosion has rocked the ASB Classic. Donna Vekić has launched shocking cheating allegations against Alex Ila, followed by a brutal 16-word response that has sent shockwaves across the tennis world. Welcome back, tennis fans, to Champions Tennis, the only channel bold enough to break down the absolute chaos unfolding right now in Auckland. If you thought this was just another routine tournament stop, think again. What is happening here is one of the most explosive, jaw-dropping, and potentially career-altering scandals to open the tennis season. Accusations are flying, reputations are under threat, and a verbal exchange so savage it stunned an entire press room has turned this event into something far bigger than tennis. This is no longer about forehands and backhands. This is open warfare. Before we even discuss match results or scoreboard drama, we need to address the bombshell that detonated just hours ago. Donna Vekić, the seasoned Croatian veteran who has experienced nearly everything professional tennis can throw at a player, chose this moment to publicly accuse rising star Alex Ila of cheating. According to multiple reporters present in the press room, Vekić openly alleged that the 20-year-old Filipino sensation was using unknown substances to reduce fatigue during her matches. Let that sink in. Unknown substances. Fatigue reduction. In professional tennis, those words are nuclear. Even an unproven hint of impropriety can destroy careers overnight, stain reputations permanently, and trigger investigations that linger for years. Vekić did not hedge her words or soften the blow. She appeared visibly emotional and deeply frustrated as she spoke, making it clear that she believed something was fundamentally wrong. She reportedly stated that if winning requires cutting corners, she would rather lose while keeping her integrity intact. She went even further, calling Ila's performance unprofessional and fundamentally dishonest. This was not a vague insinuation or a carefully worded remark buried in a long interview. This was a direct, public accusation aimed squarely at one of the brightest young talents in the sport. In an instant, the press room transformed from its usual routine of serve statistics and tactical analysis into a courtroom, with Ila's character and career placed on trial without warning, without evidence, and without mercy. The impact was immediate. Journalists froze. Cameras zoomed in. Social media erupted within minutes as word spread that a senior player had effectively accused a rising star of cheating on the record. But the story did not end there. What happened next is what truly ignited the internet. Alex Ila, a graduate of the Rafael Nadal Academy, an environment where discipline, mental toughness, and emotional control are drilled relentlessly, did something few expected. She cracked. And given the circumstances, it is hard to blame her. When your integrity is questioned in front of the global tennis media, when you are effectively labeled a cheater on what should be one of the proudest days of your career, something inside you gives way. The cameras captured the moment perfectly. Her expression shifted. The calm professionalism disappeared. You could see the anger rise, the disbelief, the sense of injustice written across her face. She did not shout. She did not throw a tantrum. She did not storm out. Instead, she leaned forward, stared straight ahead, and delivered a 16-word response so sharp, so devastating, that it silenced the room instantly. While lip readers and insiders continued to debate the exact wording, the meaning was unmistakable. Ila questioned whether Vekić's accusations were driven not by concern for fair play, but by bitterness and an inability to match her work ethic, preparation, and dedication. It was a masterstroke of verbal self-defense. The response did not merely deny the accusation, it dismantled the credibility of the accuser. In a matter of seconds, the narrative flipped. Suddenly, Vekić no longer looked like a whistleblower. She looked like an embittered veteran lashing out at a younger player who had just surpassed her. The press room atmosphere shifted dramatically, and for the first time since the accusations were made, it was Vekić, not Ila, who appeared to be on the defensive. Then came what insiders are calling the second shock. After delivering her brutal comeback, Ila reportedly challenged anyone who doubted her integrity to produce evidence. According to multiple sources, she went even further, offering to undergo immediate voluntary drug testing on the spot. No notice, no preparation time, no delay. She was willing to be tested immediately, in front of everyone. That is not the behavior of an athlete with something to hide. That is the move of someone who is absolutely confident in her cleanliness and determined to prove it beyond doubt. It was a power play that completely shifted the balance of pressure and left Vekić and her supporters scrambling for a response. To understand why emotions boiled over so violently, we also need to look at what Ila had just accomplished on court. Amid all the controversy, one fact cannot be ignored. Alex Ila had just delivered one of the most impressive performances of her young career. The Filipino star punched her ticket to the semifinals of the ASB Classic with a statement victory over Magda Linet, a player who had been a persistent obstacle in her development. This was not just another win. This was a breakthrough. From the opening games, it was clear that Ila had come prepared. Both players traded breaks early as they tested each other, probing for weaknesses and adjusting tactics. But as the first set progressed, Ila's improvements became increasingly evident. Her left-handed serve created angles Linet struggled to neutralize, consistently pulling her opponent off the court. When Linet managed to extend rallies, Ila was ready, stepping inside the baseline and punishing anything short with confidence and authority. The first set ended 6-3 in Ila's favor, and with each game, her belief visibly grew. The second set was where Ila truly announced herself as a legitimate threat on the WTA Tour. Rather than easing off, she raised her aggression, breaking Linet early and establishing control. Linet, a seasoned veteran, refused to fade quietly. She fought back, finding more depth on her ground strokes and forcing Ila to earn every point. But every time Linet threatened a comeback, Ila had an answer. A blistering winner down the line, a perfectly timed drop shot, a serve that clipped the line and left Linet rooted in place. It was a composed, intelligent, and ruthless display from a 20-year-old who looked entirely at home on a big stage. Ila closed out the match 6-3, 6-2, securing her first ever win over Linet. It was a victory that sent a clear message to the rest of the draw. This was no fluke. This was progress made real. In her immediate post-match interview, before the controversy exploded, Ila was measured and humble. She acknowledged the significance of beating a player of Linet's caliber, especially one who had defeated her twice before. She spoke about improvements in key areas of her game, about recognizing her own growth, and about the confidence that comes from finally overcoming an opponent who once had your number. It was a mature, thoughtful response that reflected a player growing not just in skill, but in self-awareness. Unfortunately, her day was far from over. Shortly after her singles triumph, Ila had to refocus and return to the court for her doubles semifinal. Partnering with American player Iva Jovic, she faced the experienced Chinese duo of Su Yifan and Yang Zhaoxian. On paper, Ila and Jovic had reason to feel confident. They had reached the semifinals after a quarterfinal walkover and had already produced an impressive opening round win over high-profile opponents, including Alina Svitolina and Venus Williams. Momentum appeared to be on their side, and a place in the final seemed within reach. It was against this backdrop of physical fatigue, emotional intensity, and professional momentum that the press room confrontation unfolded. The combination of a career-defining singles win, the demands of doubles competition, and the sudden public assault on her integrity created a perfect storm. When Vekić's accusations landed, they did so on a player already operating at the edge of emotional and physical capacity. And yet, rather than retreat, Ila stood her ground, defended herself forcefully, and flipped the script in a way few athletes her age could manage. Fallout is only just beginning. The second shock delivered by Alex Ila after her brutal 16-word response is now being described by insiders as a defining moment in her young career. Multiple reports indicate that she openly challenged her accusers to back up their claims with real evidence and, in a stunning show of confidence, offered to undergo immediate voluntary drug testing right there in the press room. No notice, no delay, no conditions. That single gesture dramatically changed the entire narrative. In professional tennis, where even the suggestion of doping can leave a permanent stain, Ila placed everything on the line in full public view. The message was unmistakable. She had nothing to hide. This move instantly shifted pressure away from Ila and onto Donna Vekić and anyone else supporting the allegations. Accusations without proof are dangerous in any sport, but in tennis they are particularly damaging due to the strict anti-doping culture and zero-tolerance policies enforced by governing bodies. By calling for immediate testing, Ila effectively forced a moment of reckoning. Either evidence would need to be produced, or the accusations would collapse under their own weight. There was suddenly no middle ground. Silence would look like retreat. Doubling down would require proof. As the story spread, reactions poured in from fans, analysts, and former players. Many praised Ila's composure under extreme pressure, noting that very few athletes, especially at just 20 years old, would have the courage to respond so directly. Others questioned Vekić's timing and motivation, pointing out that the accusations came immediately after Ila's breakthrough victory, a moment when emotions were already running high. While some called for a formal investigation to ensure transparency, the overwhelming sentiment online leaned toward admiration for Ila's refusal to be intimidated. Amid all this, it would be easy to forget that Ila was still competing in the tournament. The drama did not pause the schedule, and the spotlight now followed her everywhere she went. Every practice session, every walk through the player areas, every interaction with officials was scrutinized. Yet those close to her reported that she remained focused, leaning heavily on the mental discipline instilled during her years at the Rafael Nadal Academy. That environment, known for its relentless emphasis on accountability and resilience, appeared to be paying dividends at the most critical moment. The looming semi-final added another layer of intensity. Ila was set to face Wang Xinyu, an experienced Olympic medalist with the firepower and composure to punish even small lapses in focus. On paper, it was already a compelling matchup. In reality, it had become must-watch television. The embattled young star versus a seasoned competitor, framed by a backdrop of controversy, accusations, and unanswered questions. This was no longer just a tennis match. It was a referendum on whether Ila could rise above chaos and let her racket do the talking. What makes this moment so significant is what it represents in the broader arc of Ila's career. Until now, she has often been described as a promising talent, a polite and grateful young player happy to be learning on tour. That image has changed. In one press conference, she demonstrated that she understands the realities of elite sport. Success invites scrutiny. Progress creates enemies. When you begin to win, not everyone will celebrate your rise. Some will question it, undermine it, and attempt to pull you back down. How an athlete responds in those moments often defines who they become. Ila's response signaled a transformation. She is no longer simply reacting to events. She is shaping the narrative. By standing her ground publicly, she showed that she is prepared to defend her reputation as fiercely as she defends a break point. That shift from talented prospect to battle-hardened competitor is one that separates those who fade from those who endure at the top level. The consequences for Donna Vekić could be severe if the accusations are proven to be unfounded. Tennis authorities take public allegations seriously, particularly when they involve doping. If no evidence emerges, Vekić could face sanctions, fines, or even disciplinary action for bringing the sport into disrepute. There is also the question of potential legal consequences. Defamation laws vary by jurisdiction, but public accusations that damage an athlete's reputation without proof can open the door to legal action. Whether Ila chooses to pursue that route remains to be seen, but the possibility alone underscores how high the stakes have become. At the same time, the WTA now finds itself under pressure to respond. Ignoring the situation could be seen as negligence, while an overly aggressive response could escalate tensions further. A measured approach, potentially involving behind-the-scenes inquiries or clarifications, may be the most likely outcome. Still, until something official is announced, uncertainty hangs over the tournament like a storm cloud. For fans, the drama has only heightened engagement. Social media is flooded with clips, breakdowns, and heated debates. Some argue that Ila should have taken the high road and refused to engage at all. Others believe her fiery response was not only justified, but necessary. In a sport where silence can be interpreted as guilt, speaking up can be an act of self-preservation. The divide in opinion reflects a broader tension in modern sports between traditional expectations of restraint and the growing acceptance of athletes asserting themselves publicly. Lost in the noise is the simple truth that Ila has earned her place in this tournament through performance. Her win over Magda Linette was not controversial. It was decisive, tactical, and deserved. She outplayed a seasoned opponent, stayed composed in key moments, and executed her game plan with clarity. That achievement alone would normally dominate headlines. Instead, it has become the backdrop to a much larger narrative, one that could shape perceptions of her for years to come. As the semifinal approaches, the question is no longer just who will win the match. It is whether Ila can channel the emotional energy of this moment into her tennis. Some players thrive under pressure, using adversity as fuel. Others struggle as distractions pile up. The signs so far suggest that Ila may fall into the first category. Her willingness to confront the situation head-on indicates mental strength, not fragility. There is also a certain poetic possibility hovering over the situation. If Ila continues to win, if she pushes through the controversy and lifts a trophy, the accusations will fade into irrelevance. Results have a way of silencing critics more effectively than any press conference ever could. On the other hand, if she falters, detractors will be quick to draw their own conclusions, fair or not. That is the harsh reality of elite sport, where narratives are shaped as much by outcomes as by facts. One thing is certain: the tennis world is watching Auckland with unprecedented intensity. Accusations have been made. They have been forcefully denied. The gauntlet has been thrown down. What happens next will echo far beyond this tournament. Will governing bodies intervene? Will Vekić stand by her claims or quietly retreat? Will Ila turn this moment into the defining breakthrough of her career? For now, the only thing left to do is play tennis. The court offers no hiding place and no shortcuts. It rewards preparation, courage, and execution. As Ila steps onto the court for her semifinal, she carries more than just a racket. She carries the weight of scrutiny, expectation, and a reputation she has made clear she is willing to defend at all costs. This is why fans are glued to their screens. This is why tennis, at its best, transcends sport. It is about resilience, confrontation, and the human response to pressure. Whether Ila emerges victorious or not, she has already shown that she belongs on this stage. The story is far from over, and whatever happens next will shape the next chapter of her rise.